So I want to start this. I want to first start by saying thank you to the committee for great work. I think people who have been around this process before understand how different the one that happened this year was from past years. The redistricting process in many states is the most political of political battles. And it is because it defines what the map is going to look like for the next 10 years. I think what was different about this process was the committee remembered who this is really about. It's about the people of the state of Vermont. It's not about the politicians. I'd like to thank the chair of the committee, Donna Swaney, and the vice chair, Kenny Atkins. And I'd also really like to give a special thanks to both Representative Ron Hubert, who was the Republican leadership representative on the committee, as well as Willem Jewett, who was the Democratic majority leadership on the committee. I think that what you see is a map that, rather than pitting Democrats against Republicans or Republicans against progressives, we've been able to bring people from all parties together, and once again we're showing that when we pull together to find a common sense solution, we can do good work. I'd like to now turn it over to the chair of the committee, someone who has been a mentor of mine and has just been waiting for the opportunity to redraw the map for the state of Vermont.
This certainly was a challenge, and I redrew this map, and my whole thoughts were to Paula Hudson, Representative Paula Hudson, who chaired the committee 10 years ago when that map was drawn. And granted, we worked very hard, and to have a vote that's 138 yes and 4 no really gives tribute to the committee, to the House Government Operations Committee, and all our hard work. And all the members here. It is the Vermont way. We had every representative in our committee from Rutland County. We had members from Windsor County, from Lamoille. We brought people in, talked and discussed, and discussed with them their districts. We were determined to make this as fair as possible so we could go away and I could go to sleep for once and not having drawing maps in my sleep. And that's for the rest of us as well. So it's been an incredible process, and I thank my committee, and I thank my speaker for giving me this opportunity as well, and us the opportunity, and giving me the best committee in the House. Thank you.
John?
Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Shaq. We really appreciate the effort of the majority leadership and the speaker to allow us to work with them to obtain a reasonable resolution to the redistricting puzzle that, although not perfect, does meet most of the objectives our caucus had set forth before the beginning of this process. This plan keeps towns whole and provides most Vermonters an opportunity for fair representation in the Vermont House of Representatives for the next decade. I also need to recognize my GovOps committee guys, Representative Devereaux, Representative Higley, and Representative Hubert. I challenged them. When they were appointed to this committee by the speaker at the beginning of the session, I said, you guys need to know this better than anybody else. I need you to know Vermont. I need you to know our Vermonters. I need you to know the population. And as most people in this room will know, they responded far above and beyond what we could expect. And they did a great job. But hadn't it been for the leadership in the committee, that couldn't have happened. So we do thank Donna and the members of the GovOps committee for their allowing them the tolerance to be part of the process. I also, though, want to thank the Republican Rutland County Caucus and the many people throughout the state of Vermont that responded to our call for action last weekend. I'm sure we won't do that again, Chap. But we had to, and we appreciate that people responded to that, and we really appreciate the leadership that's behind us here today. Again, this may not be a perfect plan, but it does meet most of the requirements of the state, and we're thankful that we were able to do it together. Thank you.
Chris? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This process has seen the committee and legislative process at its best. You have a very challenging, the committee had a very challenging task in front of it, and it met it with swiftness and with an undeniable sense of fairness. Remember, as we debate contentious issues in the legislature, you have interest groups that come and go, and you have paid lobbyists that are there hour after hour, but there is no more tenacious constituency than fellow members of the House of Representatives who are here every day, every hour of every day. And the committee rose to that challenge, looked them straight in the eye, and gave them clear answers, and by and large met their requests. So it's been an honor to be a small part of it. As a representative from Burlington, I'm particularly pleased to see our numbers grow to reflect our swell of population, and it's just an honor to be a part of it. I wish this process were duplicated around the country and certainly in our nation's capital.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I have all that much to add, except I wish I had one of those easy buttons, you know, that you see at Staples. It's when we first embarked on this journey of reapportionment, I was told and coached by people who have been in state politics for a really long time that it would be the most, that I would see the most acrimony, that would be the most difficult thing that I've ever experienced. And while it really was difficult, I just feel very proud that we have the kind of legislature in Vermont that is able to work together, and that here in Vermont we aren't an island because we do live within a whole global community. There is a little island of sanity here that I just want to acknowledge. And the other thing I want to make sure to do is thank a group of people who haven't really been thanked yet, and that is all the boards of civil authority throughout the state of Vermont who have actually taken the time to review the LEB maps, write up comments, send them to the government operations committees, and as well as all of the people within the communities of all the towns of Vermont who weighed in on that process. And I also want to thank in advance all those same folks for staying engaged in the process so that we can do our work in a way that's most responsive to the needs of Vermonters. So I also want to throw out one more thank you to the Republican leadership and to the progressive leadership for working together with all of us and declaring victory with us today.
Any questions?
So are you going to redraw the Senate map?
This is so much fun.
Next question. Are there any other questions? I have one. So.
Were any of you here in 02 during the last one? Can you just give us kind of a flavor for the difference?
Some of the best quotes ever.
It was a little more contentious. It's where I sat, and there were some temporal moments, myself included in the committee. I must admit, my determination was we weren't going to go back there again. We were going to come at this as every member has a voice, and we're going to work hard to make sure we're fair. And I did say to the committee as I came in, and as we started it, I have 149 people I respect and care about, and I want to see all 149 of them back here, if that's possible, and other districts. But of course, we have had to change that. But it was different. It was a very different kind of process, and it did wind up a lot of it being spent, as I recall, in offices and in the Senate. And the bill that went from the House to the Senate, they did a lot of office backroom kind of discussion about what it looked like. At least that's the way it appeared to me. And I don't know, maybe Ken, who was here too, Vice Chair of the Committee, Representative Ken Atkins, has some understanding and remembers some of that. But it was a tough time. Very good.
The biggest difference for me 10 years ago, and Donna and I, about 4 years ago, started talking about, well, are you going to be here the next one? And we sort of decided that since we were the only two who had the experience that we would try to come back, and we did. And our promise to each other was that we were going to do this in as nonpartisan a manner as we could. And the accent was on could, because we didn't really know before the process started how it would work out. It worked out. The biggest difference for me between 2002 and 2012, in 2002, 95 to 96, maybe more % of the maps that we looked at were not created in government operations room. Almost every one of the maps, except some of the maps that came from individuals, and they were directed through legislative council. So basically, all the maps that we looked at, and we looked at, I don't know, I tried to count them, you know, maybe 40 or 50 different maps. And every one of those maps happened on that table in GovOps. So that was a big difference for me.
Any other questions?
If there was a mountain dividing Sunderland and Stratton, and weren't going to be any ripple effects from changing it the way the member from Arlington was asking, why not do that?
I'll leave that to the committee, but what I will also say is that there's a mountain that divides Elmore from Woodbury, and I have to drive around through Hardwick and Woolton to get to my district. So I certainly understand the concerns that Representative Browning expressed, and I look forward to sharing stories about how we move from one place to another next time.
Well, we heard that. We've heard that. This is one suggestion that we remember always, mountains. This is Vermont, and it's about mountains. And that's not the only district that's very hard to get to from here. And I know there are others, and a member on the committee who has a very difficult time getting from one place to another in his district. Actually, 2 members. So we understood that. But this was the best. We decided with this issue that we needed to, the numbers were there. We had to move somebody, and we moved Stratton over to that district, and hopefully that district, those BCAs can come up with some kind of a resolution which would be good for everybody here. But we kept every town in that 2-member district, those 2 districts that we united together so that they can move forward with going through the BCA in the process and people deciding what they want to live there.
One more question? Or none? Either's acceptable. Thank you very much.